Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, June 18, and we are in the third feast day of the spring. And we're doing a lot on feast days right now because it's becoming blatantly obvious, even to those who are skeptical, that Jesus is coming. And the feast days give us insight into the order of things and how the end time looked. Jesus fulfilled the spring feast. He fulfilled those, at least partially or in some cases totally, in his first coming. And in the second coming, in weeks to come, we'll talk about the fall feast, and they will tell you about how he's going to appear in the second and in his second coming. So anyway, we're going to get started, and in Leviticus 23. In the Feast of First Fruits, which is the first day of the week following Passover, which is the day Jesus rose from the grave. So, First Fruits represents resurrection, but it also means that when Jesus rose from the dead, he also brought the spirits out of their grave, and they were seen walking the streets of Jerusalem. Now, why is that important? Because in John chapter 3, verse 13, Jesus doesn't say, he says that no one has been to heaven except he who came from heaven. So when people tell me that when people died, they didn't go to Sheol, they went to heaven, I say then Jesus lied. Because Jesus can't say something that's not true without lying, because he knows everything. Therefore, he knows the truth. He was here. He wouldn't, and he can't lie. So therefore, no one has ever been to heaven until Jesus took them with him. And that was on First Fruits. When those people, it says that when Jesus said it is finished, or it is done, or all is complete, that actually, I like the definition of paid in full better. And when he said that, it says that all those in paradise, or Sheol, the good side of paradise, the good side of Sheol, stood up in their graves, but they didn't leave. But when Jesus rose from the grave, it says that all of those spirits that stood up in their grave were now walking the streets of Jerusalem. Why is that significant? Because when Jesus told Mary Magdalene, "Don't touch me, because I have not appeared," he had to report to his Father, pure. He couldn't have the touch of sinful man. As good as Mary was, or became, she wasn't perfect. So Jesus had to go there. He brought those gifts. Why? Because on first fruit, Jesus had to offer a first fruit offering to his Father. He became our first fruit offering. But in order to go into the Holy of Holies and fulfill Hebrews chapter 9 that we talked about last week, that he had to bring an offering for himself to give him permission to go in, even though he wasn't a sinner. He carried our sin though, and he had to provide a first fruit offering so that he could go into the Holy of Holies and purify all the vessels where the original sin of Lucifer occurred. So I know I'm getting a little deep in the woods, but that's exactly why he had to do it. On the first day, you are to have a holy convocation. You should do no regular work. Instead, you are to present an offering made by fire to Adonai for 7 days. On the seventh day is a holy convocation, when you are to do no regular work. And first fruits, Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to Bnei Israel, the sons of Israel, and tell them, when you have come into the land which I give to you, and reap its harvest." Notice how you got to reap the harvest in the land. Any harvest outside of the land is not pure, because it is not it is not God's land. Then you are to bring the omer, a cup, basically, of first fruits of your harvest to the priest, to the Kohen. He is to wave the omer before God, Adonai, to be acceptable for you. On the morrow, after the Shabbat being Saturday, the first fruits would be Sunday, the Kohen is to wave it. Now they would have a sheaf, and it would just be like a bouquet of flowers, and they would wave that for each individual person. On the day when you wave the Omer, you are to offer a male lamb without blemish, 1 year old, as a burnt offering to Adonai. So you are blessing the crops and praising Jesus for it in ahead of time. So I hope that made sense, but Jesus had to pay that price. He had to come up to his Father in heaven, because what essentially happened is Revelation chapter 12. It says that Lucifer was now banned. He was cast out of heaven, no longer allowed to go there and accuse us. And that was all because Jesus purified heaven from the original sin. Because the original sin everybody thinks was Eve. It wasn't. It was Lucifer. When he got a third of the angels to sin against God, and they were cast into hell, he was cast to the earth. Lucifer was banned from heaven at that point. He can no longer go into the throne room of God like he did in Job chapter 1. So anyway, please share our information with friends. If you've got friends on Facebook, which I'm sure you do, I'm probably the only one who doesn't, because I'm not on Facebook. But share our information, streetlightgr.com/Facebook, or at YouTube at Streetlight Bible Study 4006. Please remember to be a blessing to others and be blessed yourself. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in another week.